Imagine this scenario. You're walking down the street and you find a crisp $100 bill. How good does that feel? A nice little rush, a pleasant surprise. Now imagine the opposite. You reach into your pocket and realize you've lost a $100 bill. How bad does that feel? For most of us, the pain of losing that money is a gut punch, an emotional experience far more intense than the fleeting joy of finding it. This isn't a flaw in your character. It's a fundamental principle of human psychology. The pain of the loss is disproportionately greater than the joy of the gain. This powerful, invisible force shaping your decisions is called loss aversion. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why your brain is wired this way and how to use this powerful cognitive bias to make better decisions in finance, business, and life.
Welcome back to MindVist. Today we are diving deep into one of the most influential concepts in behavioral economics, loss aversion. Formally defined, loss aversion is a cognitive bias that suggests the pain of a loss is psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of an equivalent gain. This groundbreaking idea was first proposed by the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman and his longtime collaborator Amos Tversky as a central component of their revolutionary prospect theory. Solpenbursen serversin geimeros. Solperdaus. Their simple yet profound core idea is that losses loom larger than gains. This single concept explains so much about why we make seemingly irrational decisions with our money, our time, and our relationships. To truly appreciate loss aversion, we need to understand the theory it comes from, prospect theory. Before Kahneman and Tversky, the prevailing economic model was expected utility theory, which assumed that people are rational actors who evaluate outcomes based on their final wealth. In that world, losing $100 and gaining $100 should be perfectly symmetrical. Prospect theory showed that this is simply not how the human mind works. Instead of evaluating outcomes based on final wealth, we evaluate them based on changes from a reference point, which is usually our current status quo. The key visual is the S-shaped value function. Notice how the curve is much steeper in the domain of losses than it is in the domain of gains. This steepness is the mathematical representation of loss aversion. When we look at the $100 example, the drop from $0 to $100 on the loss side of the curve is significantly steeper than the rise from $0 to $100 on the gain side. This is why researchers have consistently found that losses are felt roughly 2 to 2.5 times more intensely than equivalent gains. Our brains are simply wired to prioritize avoiding pain over acquiring pleasure. The power of loss aversion is that it doesn't just apply to money, it influences countless decisions in our daily lives. One of the most common manifestations is the endowment effect. This is the phenomenon where we place a higher value on something once we own it. Think about selling a used item, like a car or a piece of furniture. The price you are willing to accept for it is almost always significantly higher than the price you would be willing to pay for the exact same item if you didn't already own it. Once that item is in your possession, giving it up feels like a loss, and your brain demands a premium to compensate for that pain. In the world of investing and finance, loss aversion is a killer. It's the reason investors often hold on to losing stocks far too long, hoping they will break even. The fear of realizing the loss, of making that loss concrete by selling, is so painful that they prefer to gamble on a recovery, even when all rational data suggests they should cut their losses. Conversely, it can also cause people to take too little risk, missing out on potential gains because the fear of losing their capital is overwhelming. Marketers and salespeople are masters at exploiting this bias. They understand that framing is everything. Instead of saying you can gain a 20% discount, they might say, don't lose out on this limited time offer. The latter creates a sense of urgency rooted in the fear of missing out, which is a direct appeal to loss aversion. The success of free trials is also built on this. Once you have the product for 30 days, taking it away feels like a loss of something you already possess, making you far more likely to subscribe. Why are we wired this way? The answer lies in our evolutionary past. For our ancestors, avoiding a loss was often a matter of life and death. Losing a food source, losing shelter, or losing a tool was a direct threat to survival. A gain, while nice, was simply a bonus. Consider a caveman who finds a new patch of berries, a gain, versus one who has his existing food cache raided, a loss. The loss of the cache is an immediate, critical threat that requires an intense, urgent response. The gain of the new berries is less urgent. Our brains evolved to be hypersensitive to threats and losses because, in a harsh environment, survival depended on it. This ancient wiring still affects our modern decisions. Even though losing $100 is not the same as losing a week's worth of food. Our emotional response system hasn't caught up to our modern financial system, making us prone to this powerful cognitive bias. The good news is that simply understanding loss aversion is the first step to mitigating its effects. Here are 3 actionable strategies to help you make more rational decisions. 1. Broaden the frame. Stop focusing on individual transactions. When investing, don't obsess over the daily fluctuations of a single stock. Instead, look at your portfolio's performance over a broader time horizon, monthly, quarterly, or annually. By broadening the frame, you treat small losses as noise within a larger, positive trend, reducing their emotional impact. 1. Change the reference point. When faced with a decision that involves a potential loss, reframe it. Instead of viewing a business expense as a loss of capital, view it as a necessary investment or a cost of doing business. For example, a subscription to a professional tool isn't money lost, it's the cost of maintaining a competitive edge. This simple mental shift can neutralize the emotional sting of the loss. 1. Automate decisions. The best way to remove emotion from the equation is to remove yourself from the decision-making process. Use rules and systems, such as dollar-cost averaging in investing, where you automatically invest a fixed amount of money at regular intervals. This prevents you from making emotional, fear-driven decisions based on market dips, which are often driven by loss aversion. 7. Conclusion and final call to action. 8:30. End. Loss. Aversion is a powerful, deeply ingrained cognitive bias, rooted in prospect theory, that influences everything from how we invest our money to how we respond to a sales pitch. It is the reason why losing $100 hurts far more than gaining $100 feels good. But now you know the secret. Understanding this bias is the first, crucial step to making more rational, profitable, and less emotionally taxing decisions. Now, I want to hear from you. What's a time loss aversion cost you? Maybe you held onto a stock too long, or you missed out on a great opportunity because you were too afraid of the downside. Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more insights into behavioral economics and how your brain works. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.